Last week we saw how simple Unix commands can be chained together into pipelines which can perform complicated tasks like computing word frequencies in a text or transforming a text into one sentence per line format. This week we'll see how we can take a command pipeline and transform it into a convenient command, also called a script, which has a descriptive name. Let's start with creating a script which can compute a frequency list of the word forms in a text. And this is going to be very similar to what we saw last week. So I'll start by creating a new text file using nano, and I'll call this text file frecklist.sh. So nano frecklist.sh. The sh suffix tells you that this is a shell script. So the first line I'll write starts with a hash sign and an exclamation mark. This is a special syntax called a shebang or a hashbang. It tells the system that what follows is the path to the interpreter that we want to use. Now there are several dialects of shell scripts, and the one we will learn is called bash. And that's why I'll write the path bin bash. This is, by the way, also the command line interpreter that I'm using regularly on my system, and probably you are as well. There are others as well, like C shell and shell, but bash is one of the most popular ones. Okay, so after this we can get on writing the actual command, which was actually presented last week, so I'll just quickly step through it. So step 1 is to convert the text input from Windows format to Unix format. And I'll write DOS to Unix here. And if you don't have that command, you can also write tr-d/r. That'll accomplish the same thing. Then we have step 2, which is transforming the output from DOS to Unix into one word per line format. So we translate all the white space characters into new lines. Now, last week we listed these, but we can also use a convenient character class here. So tr and space, and these are going to be transformed into new lines. And then we need to add this squeeze option, -s, to avoid getting a bunch of empty lines in the output. Alright, then in step 3, we wanted to get rid of punctuation, which we could accomplish using yet another tr command. So this week we're going to do it slightly more conveniently. We're just gonna delete all the punct characters. So tr-d and then the character class punct for punctuation. And the last step was sorting the file, counting all the identical lines, and then sorting in inverse numerical order. So let's check that this works. So I'll just save and quit. Now there are 2 options for running the script. Let's see the first one. I'll just first open this lifeofb.txt file for reading using cat, and then pipe this one to bash frecklist.sh. And then we can use less to look at the output, which looks correct. So let's quit less using Q. Now we can also transform this into an executable file. So chmod and then u+x, so give the user execute rights, execute permissions. And then we can copy paste the script name. And now we don't need to use this bash anymore. So just say /frecklist. and it looks correct again. The reason why you need to use the dot and / at the beginning is that the command line interpreter doesn't look for the executable scripts and programs in the current working directory by default. You can modify your path variable so that it does, but that's not usually recommended because system commands like ls and cat can become overridden if you happen to have an identically named script or program in the working directory. And this may open up a possibility for attackers to gain access to your system. So don't add the working directory to your path. Okay, so usually you want to tidy up your script a little bit and also add some documentation so that you know what it does if you happen to forget it at some point. So let's get back to Nano. So first, let's format this a bit nicer. We can add white space here and after the pipes. So now every individual command is on its own line. Then let's add a comment which tells the name of the script, who wrote it, and gives a description of what the script does. And these need to go after the hashbang line. So I'll just write a hash sign which starts a line with a comment, and then script checklist.sh, and another comment, author library. And let's add when I actually wrote the script. Okay, there are a few modifications that we can make to the script, and depending on the situation, these may either be desirable or they're not. In any case, I'll show you how to change the script so that it takes the input text file as a command line parameter and also takes the name of the output file as a command line parameter. And of course, this now means that we can't use our script as part of another command line pipeline anymore. So whether this makes sense or not really depends on the situation. So let's quit Nano for a while. I'm going to save it. So what I would like to do is this. I would like to be able to call this script in the following way. So frecklist.sh, lifeofb.txt, which is the file that we give as input, and then lifeofb.frec, which will be the file that we give as output. So let's make the necessary modifications. The parameters that you give on the command line are accessible here using number variables $1 up to $9. So you can give up to 9 parameters to a script like this. Well, in fact, you can give more, but then you can't access them this conveniently anymore. So to open the first file given as parameter, we're going to cat $1 and then pipe that one to the DOS to Unix command. And to store the output in the second file given as parameter, we're just simply going to redirect the output to this $2 file. So let's test this. I'm going to quit and save. Okay, now this created a lifeofb.frec file for me. And if we check what's in there using less, we can see that it's the frequency list. Now, there's one last problem here. If we happen to call this script without any parameters by mistake, it just hangs. So let me demonstrate that. This happens because the $1 variable is now empty and cat without any arguments except input from the standard input. So somehow we'd like to be able to check that the user actually did give an input file and an output file as parameters. I'm going to quit this now. And we'll see how to do this in the next video.